you don't have idea of what other people have gone through, right? So don't focus on others, just focus on what you learn. My first advice is to not get influenced in the current sources, because I see people posting that I'm getting 400% and 300%. Definitely, it is not that toxic. But in data engineers, I would highly suggest them to focus on what you're learning and keep your raise yourself, not looking at your people other side and getting demotivated, because you see in internet and people around you maybe move with a better package or better life, right? So better to also. If you just see them and if you're trying to race with them, then it is always hard for you to compete. If you raise yourself and keep learning with what you learn every day, that helps a lot.
Hey folks, welcome to Trendy Tech. This is Mansa Nagraj. I'm back again with another interesting success story. From pursuing masters in computer applications to starting off his IT career with Amazon, in his journey, Mohan Raj had the opportunity to work with top companies like HCL, Cognizant, Aspire, and now working as senior data engineer in Fractal. Here is a small glimpse of a super hardworking, creative, and an energetic IT professional. Well, hi Mohan, thank you so much for joining. Firstly, a big congratulations for that fabulous success. Would be really pleased to know your journey and experience as a data engineer. Well, I would request you to introduce a little bit about yourself to our viewers.
Hey Manasa, thank you very much for having me here. Myself, Mohan Raj Karnan. I have completed my Master of Computer Application in 2015. I have around 7 years of experience in the industry. I started my career in Amazon and Aspire and HCL and Cognizant. So I transited from enterprise integration developer to ETL development and RPA development and data science and data engineering. So this is my transition.
Nice. That's a great journey, I would say, wherein you got to experience different fields or domains as well, working in different technologies also. Through our conversation earlier, you did mention that you were majorly into ETL processes prior to data engineering. Well, I would like to know if this ETL experience that you have had was of any advantage to you while transitioning into big data?
Yes, Manasa. This ETL related work helped me during pursuing data engineering, because this ETL work involves a lot of data modeling related work and also data warehousing concepts involved in it. So this data warehousing, data modeling and data extracting, right? So knowledge on the data sources and data warehousing and data mart. So definitely this ETL related part helps me a lot, gives me understanding during data engineering study. But that is not the only topic that required in data engineering part. It requires a lot. If you go for cloud-based data engineering, then you should be aware of some of cloud-related technologies, and also you should aware of big data-related process, right? So where you need to be mastering in the Spark and core of the Spark. So I could say ETL process helped me a lot to understand data warehousing and model-related works, but data engineering is more than that. Yes.
Nice, yeah. So, well, my very second thought right now is, what was your main motive to switch to data engineering? Was it because of the hype or the booming domain that it is, or were you really inclined towards data?
No, so definitely data engineering was not my first preference. So actually I was pursuing data science for data scientist role. So when I got internal jump to data science project, I accidentally landed into data engineering job. So basically what happened, for any data engineering work, you should do some for any data science work, you should do some data preparation work, which generally data engineer does, right? So in my project, I have to do the data engineering part, and then the second phase was about to data science related work. So when I started, then I eventually pulled in, because I'm a kind of a person who loves to do code. So this particular area looks very interesting to me, and also I wanted to check more the relevant technologies in the data engineering. So I thought, okay, why don't we give a try to the data engineering, because it is also one of the important technology which is booming now. So I started giving a try, and I started learning a lot of things than data science, because data engineering requires a lot of technical skills and also coding skills. So it really pulled me. So that's how I landed into data engineering work.
Excellent. Yeah. So an accidental introduction to data engineering, which turned out to be the main career path as well, right? That's a nice thing to know. Well, So my next question would be like, how did you plan to start learning big data? Since you said that you just ended up, like into the data engineering field, but how did you plan to learn this required skills in order to meet the requirements of the job role? And what resources you found were very helpful online? If you could highlight a few.
So data engineering actually binded with the multiple technologies. So you cannot just stick with one technologies and know that can be used for the throughout your life. Because in real time, the data engineering is getting bigger. But in general, it is always good to know for any data engineer, these skills are really helpful in order to crack interviews. So the first one is, obviously you need to be master in the coding, which will always help you to kickstart any work. And for coding, you can refer any of resources which will be super helpful to you. I can recommend one course in Zero to Mastery portal. So there is an author called Andrew Yorkie. So if you just go through the course, that would helps you a lot. And for SQL, you can go through Sumit Udal course. So that will be really helps a lot if you are a beginner. That course will start with the basics and it takes to the advanced level. And you can also practice some of the lead code questions. So that will make your hands dirty. You can attempt a number of questions in lead codes, both easy or hard questions. Apart from this, for Azure data engineering, or you can pick AWS data engineering. Also, you can pick GCP. These three are always having a good market. But pick one, be master in it. I personally recommend Azure. Because Azure has a lot of resources to work with it, and it has a huge thing in data engineering, and also market is recommending Azure. So go for Azure. So if you plan for Azure data engineering, you can check out Sumit Mittal course is also available, and also you can check out a lot of YouTube videos available on the internet. So you can refer either one of them. Also you can check out in Udemy courses, which will be super useful for to understand the resources in Azure. But not just learning things, and also you need to be practiced, because it involves a lot of work, data ingestion, and doing coding part, and doing using a SQL query on top of the data warehouse part, right? So if you understand all these three, and apart from these, it is also recommended to learn data warehousing part. So this data warehousing will be super useful when you start building the data modeling work, and when you start ingesting to the target data. So those will be really helpful. And for data warehousing, you can again check on internet, or else you can go through Kimball author related books. Those will be really helpful. For me, data modeling part and data warehousing, which is already known to me, since I just took a few resources and brush up my skills, so it helped me a lot during the interview time. But what I'm recommending you to do this, also you should learn big data work. So big data related skill is super useful when you're about to cracking the interview. So for big data related course, I strongly suggest go for some interview course. So in the course you can learn things based, start from the basic to the advanced level, which will helps you to crack the interview better.
Nice, excellent. So you found the course really helpful and organized well, so that you could learn all the concepts really well. So the next thing I would like to ask you is, what were the challenges that you faced while learning the complete big data ecosystem or technologies? Was it difficult or easy, or did you find it really interesting that it went on smooth for you?
So definitely it was not an easy things to understand, because when I was in an initial stage of learning data engineering, so big data comes at every stage, because your data is getting larger and you need to handle it. So without not knowing the knowledge of distributed computing, it is always hard to handle the large data sets, right? So where I was starting searching things in Google, that is there any possible way of handling this large data set, because we need some really good computing sources to handle this large data. So then this big data part comes into the picture. Then I eventually started learning, but right, there are many topics involved in this big data engineering. So if you just started learning in the mid part, if you not understand the head and tail of the technologies, it is very hard to understand, because our human mind is structured in such way. So if you just start in the middle, you cannot easily complete things, right? So someone have to connect the dots. So Sumit Mittal made this. His course has very much structured. So what exactly need to start from the basic to write Linux command. And MapReduce is outdated one, but you still have to know what is the MapReduce and what is major work it does. And slowly pace increase to Spark related works. Spark helped me to learn understanding the data engineering work, and also Hive. Hive helped me to understand the data warehousing part more deeper, because in interview you can expect a lot of questions from Hive and Spark related questions. That really helped me a lot, and also it helped me to implement my thoughts into my current project. Because so when I started project without understanding all these things, so it was very hard. So when you got an opportunity to learn things, and you have to implement in at some stage, right? So I use this project as my ground where I have implemented all my learnings, and it worked well. So this course really helps a lot.
Nice. So yeah, I see that from the example that you stated that having a strong understanding of the basics, it's very important for you to even work on the challenging projects as well, right? So this is a very good example that you have stated. So that's where fundamentals plays a very important role. Nice to listen to that. So the next question that I have is a little bit around the interview process. So what as per you are the main interview focus areas? And how should one plan their interview phase, like whether it is revising the topics or preparing their resumes, or trying to portray themselves on the social media, professional social media platforms. So what was your experience in the interview phase?
Okay, so my first suggestion is, first we need to change the perception of attending the interviews. So basically people pinging me in the LinkedIn and asking me the same question, what kind of a question that may I expect, what kind of a question I may not expect, and what is the proportion of it. First of all, we need to study for everything, right? So we are going to work in a company, and you cannot just stick with certain topics, right? So if you study everything, you can expect anything from the interview person, right? So in an interview, you can expect certain topics with certain proportion level, but you need to be mastering in all the topics. Okay, right? Starts from Spark. So you can expect 40% of question that you can expect from the interview. So you may ask writing code. It can be either Scala or Python or PySpark. So definitely you can expect more coding related questions, and also you can expect a lot of optimization in Spark. So if you are well versed in the optimization part, you can easily go through this route. And second, you can expect SQL related questions as a 30%, because SQL is a must one in data engineering. Anybody who want to become a data engineer. So for SQL related questions, you can practice in a lead code. So there is a easy and medium and hard questions. If you just practice in easy and medium question, that is more than enough, because these questions are repeatedly asking in every interview. All you need to do is just practice them. If you don't understand things, start with the basics. So if you understand the syntax of each query, it will always help. And also, I would highly recommend you to understand the execution process in the SQL, because if you don't understand the execution process of the SQL, then you're not able to create optimization query, right? So if you don't understand what query run first and what query not running, what query run at the last, then it is always hard to understand or optimization things in real time, right? I would also suggest you to watch SQL playlist in Sumit Mittal channel. So he explained this very detailedly. And apart from this, you can also check out Data Lemur site, which has really good questions. You can expect one of these questions in your interview experience. So those questions are really helpful. Apart from these, you can expect 20% of questions from Azure related resources, because you will be if you are choosing Azure, you will be expect questions from Azure, or if it is GCP, you can expect things from GCP or AWS. But definitely you can expect that 20% from Azure, because people might expect about the ingestion process, how well you know the ingestion process and extracting process. So if you're Azure, I prefer Azure. So if you are Azure data engineer, you can expect Azure Data Factory and Databricks related questions. These are most things as my interviewer. Apart from this, we have a data structure and algorithm concept that you can expect 10%. But again, this data engineering and algorithm is not much needed, because I see there is a lot of hype in it. So don't give no too much of pressure to learn this data engineering, data structures and algorithm related topics, because people are not expecting much. But if you are able to understand this part little bit, that is more than enough. For example, if you are a developer, you must have used for loop, right? So without knowing yourself, you will be using data structures and algorithm. For example, if you use for loop, you should know that what is running. So if it is one for loop, you can explain that it is whether linear or non-linear. It is always linear, right? If you're using inner for loop, it goes end log, right? So without knowing yourself, you're using data structures and algorithm. You should know that what you're using, time complexity, space complexity. You should be aware of all these things, and you just understand that how to write a code in optimized way. That is the only thing that may expect, but you don't need to be master in the data structures and algorithm. So don't worry about data structures and algorithm. And sometimes some company expect data modeling work also. So learn data modeling, which is very easy. Just know star schema and Snowflake schema, which is super useful for you. So apart from this, interview should always healthy one. So if you're attending the interview, you don't need to be panic, because people who are sitting in opposite you is also wanted to hire you, right? So he don't want you to embarrassed. He don't want you to rejected. He wants you to hire. So if you're giving proper answer, and if you don't know the answer, it is completely okay. So you just accept it that yes, I'm not aware of this. If you just help me to know what is answer, then they would definitely help you if they wanted to know the answer. Otherwise, that's completely fine if you don't understand the answer, but don't blabber it, because the opposite person is always expert one who taking the interview. Okay. And apart from this, that is completely fine. Just always look for what you can learn, because learning is the final consistent key that you can take from interview. If you don't learn things, then it is always hard, because you will be not knowing whether the same question will be repeated into every interviews, right? So it is always to learn things from the interview and the interviewer, and get the feedback if possible, and know what is happening inside the project. And also you should know that whether you can get some of the details of the work that you're going to do in their work. So those things really helpful you to upgrade yourself.
That's really a good advice. I would I would really agree on this, because it's important that even though you are not able to answer certain things, try to understand how better you can do it in the next interview, because most of the times you find it that you will get something around the same questions itself. So you have to always try to prepare yourself and make yourself better for the next opportunity. I agree on that totally. Yeah, so finally, I would also like to, a little bit curious on your high percentage that you have received after your recent switch, and also was there any need for salary negotiation on this, whatever current CTC that you had, or you felt that the market CTC standards are already good enough for a data engineer? Your thoughts around that, please.
Okay, my first advice is to not get influenced in the current sources, because I see people posting that I'm getting 400% and 300%. Definitely, it is not that possible to one company providing 300-400%. Rather than that, they would go for lesser experienced people with lesser salary, right? But you should always also think that the market is high. You can still expect some of a higher CTC offer. But that too, if you have a counter offer, if you have an offer with such a big company, then definitely the other company will try to provide the salary or match up with the expectation that you have. Apart from this, you should always also think that there is a concept called team parity. This team parity is like if you are hiring for one particular project, in the project, if your co-worker has some set of a salary, if your requested salary is not matching with that salary, so definitely the HR is not possible to match with the requested salary. So understand that part also, and make a negotiation based on that. So that will really help a lot.
Right. Yeah. Agree on that totally. Yeah. Right. So finally, last thing from your end, would love to hear a few go-to tips from your side to all our viewers who are budding data engineers. If you could just give some few advice to them.
Data engineers, I would highly suggest them to focus on what you're learning and keep your raise yourselves, not looking at looking at your people other side and getting demotivated, because you see in internet and people around you maybe move with a better package or better life, right? So better zone also. If you just see them and if you're trying to race with them, then it is always hard for you to compete. If you raise yourself and keep learning with what you learn every day, that helps a lot, because you don't have idea of what other people have gone through, right? So don't focus on others, just focus on what you're learning, and learning is a consistent. If you are consistently learning with the right track, that helps a lot, because data engineering has a lot of supporting skills required, because whatever you see in internet is just half of the part. If you are into the real-time work, it involves a lot of other skills. You might not wonder, even Azure DevOps is also important, right? CI/CD pipeline is also important, and there are many other things that we can stack into it. But focus on the learning. The learning should be always consistent. If you lose this learning, and if you're focusing on others' success story, it is always keeping you demotivated, and you might be feeling low. Sometimes you may even drop the studies, right? I did it many times. So I've been trying this data related work for almost 3 years. Started from the data science, right? So while I was starting the data science related studies, it involves a lot of analytical skills. You should familiarize with statistics, mathematics, and then coding, everything, right? So for me, it was very hard, because mathematics, statistics, I was completely zero. So I started looking around people getting into the data science, and then wondering how these people becoming data scientists. Is that I'm the only person in the world who not understanding the mathematics and statistics, right? So it happened, and eventually you become imposter syndrome person, right? So don't look around people, and focusing on what you learning, and be structured in what you're learning. Otherwise, you might be misguided. So get some mentor. You can pay and get some mentor, and get help from them. That is the one advice that I can give to you.
That's totally, I would 100% agree on that, because reskilling and upskilling is one of the important things that you have to constantly do throughout your professional career, and which is very much crucial for every IT professional as well. So yeah, thank you so much for that, Mohan, and wishing you all the very best, and also lots of success in your future endeavors, and have a nice evening too. Thank you so much, and take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Manasa, for inviting me to this interview. I thoroughly enjoyed this session. Looking forward to get more content from Tenetic. Thank you very much.
If you found the content informative, consider subscribing and hit on the bell icon for more such notifications on interesting podcasts.